CBN's medical reporter Laurie Johnson joins us now with more on this development. Laurie, thanks for joining us. So it's nice to have something promising to talk about.
Absolutely.
Right, but it was just 8 people. So how much stock can we take in this?
That's right. Everyone's like, what? Only 8 people? But this is a safety precaution because when you're testing a vaccine, there are 2 very important things that you look at. Number 1, is it safe? And number 2, is it effective? Does it even work preventing against the virus? So they only gave it to 8 people in case it might not be safe. And they were closely monitoring those 8 people. They're volunteers, very brave volunteers, closely monitoring them to see if they had any bad side effects, and luckily they didn't. And then regarding how well it worked, a lot of people think maybe they give the coronavirus to these people? No, they take their blood and they give their blood and expose their blood to actual human cells that are then infected with the virus. Because remember, when you are exposed to this virus, you create antibodies. And so that's the hope with the vaccine, is that it causes your body to create antibodies. And that is exactly what happened. They gave the blood and the antibodies in a lab to human cells. And those antibodies did, in fact, prevent the coronavirus from replicating in those human cells. So that's very exciting.
Yes. And just timeline-wise, what are we looking at? How long before, this might be proven effective for the population if, we need to go to larger numbers of people now?
Absolutely. That's what everybody's looking for, because so many people have said since day one that we're really not going to get back to the way we were before, back to normal, until we have a vaccine. So everyone's looking at that date. When might it be? And it looks like it could be as early as this fall, because if you think about approximately 8 weeks per phase. So phase 1 started in March. Now it's May. It's been 8 weeks. Now phase 2 with the 600 people might be about another 8 weeks. And so in July, phase 3 with the thousands of people being tested, that might be another 8 weeks. So now we're looking at possibly as early as September, when phase 3 trials are finished. So phase 2 going on right now, instead of 8 people, we're looking at 600 people, half of them under age 55, half of them, Heather, over age 55. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens.
Okay, yeah, well, I know we're all rooting for a fast timeline.
Right.
And then what happens to the other vaccines that are being developed?
Right, there are about 70 pharmaceutical companies that have developed vaccines and are in various stages of testing. And so these folks are still going to keep right on testing, because number 1, we don't know how the Moderna vaccine is going to turn out. Is it going to work? There's still a long way to go. But also these other vaccines, there may be a need for more than one vaccine. We'll wait and see about that. And then there's this whole race going on between certain countries, especially the United States and China, because presumably whichever country comes up with the vaccine first, their citizens are going to get first right of refusal. So in the United States, we're looking at about possibly, if all things go well, about 100 million doses by the end of this year. So far, it looks like with the Moderna vaccine, folks are going to need 2 doses, a shot and then a booster, as we call it, a little bit later, to really get that immune response that we want. So that's 100 million by the end of this year, and then 500 million next year. So we have about 330 million people in the United States. So even at first, it's probably going to be on the priority basis this year. Who gets the vaccine first? Healthcare workers and nursing home residents, most likely.
All right. Well, we're out of time, but I will say I have never been so excited about a shot. So.
Right.
Right. Thank you, Laurie.